Hello, Daddy Ben. It is lovely to see you again. How are you?
I am very well, thank you, Adam. How are you?
I'm excellent, especially for seeing this script, the winning script, designed by Andrew Pisho. It is called No Rolls Barred. I'm sure that has nothing to do with the way it won. But just before we dive into the script itself and talk about it as a whole, all the different characters, how many submissions did you get, Daddy Ben?
We had just shy of a mighty 600 entries.
Goodness.
Yep,
Goodness
a lot.
Me.
A hell of a lot. And to be honest with you, all but just a small handful of them were good scripts. Like, the level of quality was ridiculously high. I found it brutally difficult to whittle those 600 down to, I think, about 110, which myself and Ed then whittled down to 18, which I then handed off to a bunch of experienced storytellers to vote on their favourites. But really, like, well over 100 of them were like worthy of victory, and it was very, very difficult to select one.
Ed there, the Ed Galaxy Brain Ed from the Pandemonium Institute.
He's going to love that you've said that on a YouTube video. I don't know. Please stop bigging him up.
Infamous in Blood and the Clocktower circles as having the best Clocktower brain.
Yeah, he knows more about the rules than me, and I'm part of the team that made it. So that's that's all you need to know about Ed.
Good for you, Ed. Right, so let's... well, first of all... congratulations to Andrew Pisho. A signed copy of the game will be winging its way to you as soon as they're available. Also, there were a number of runners-up. A number of them, like more than like a dozen, which is crazy. That's how good your submissions were. We've reached out to the runners-up and those who have consented to have their work platformed. We've done so. We've created an image folder online. We popped the link in the description and in the pinned comment as well. If you would like to see some of the fabulous runners-up for this competition, please click the link and that will take you to all of the scripts, their names, and who designed them. Again, like, well done, everyone. Just like an outpouring of fiendish designs. But we should talk about the winning script. And first of all, let's start with Ben. Why did it win?
Well, there's a number of reasons why we found it to be an excellent script. First of all, and this is arguably one of the most important things, excellent choice of 3 demons. All 3 of these demons are capable of making it seem as though a different demon is in play. And that's huge, because once the good team learn who the demon is, that's a massive treasure trove of information and makes it much easier to identify who the evil team are. So, excellent choice of 3 demons there. 5 minions, which is why we've got 3 demons, and the reason for that is that there is one of the demons adds in an extra minion, one of the townsfolk is able to have a minion ability as long as that minion is not in play. So the author made sure that there was enough minions, because it's technically possible that we could require 5 minions for various reasons. There is plenty of outsider manipulation, very important thing, because outsiders, and particularly outsiders in this script, are encouraged to hide. None of the outsiders on this script want to be found, except the drunk, who doesn't know they're the drunk. And so when you have ample outsider manipulation and a bunch of outsiders that are hidden, the evil team can bluff as outsiders, which is a big deal for them, because it's risky to throw in your hat and bluff as a townsfolk, but you can usually get away with bluffing as an outsider, because they're seen as less dangerous. And finally, there is plenty of drunkenness and poisoning, and most importantly, it comes from both sides. So you want some good guys that can cause drunkenness because it's chaotic, but also you want to have controlled misinformation, and the evil team have got the option to do that here, because there is a poisoner, and of course there's a vortox.
Amazing stuff. All right, well, let's start. We're going to spend the rest of the video breaking down the script. There are some roles on here that you have seen before. We're not going to spend too much time on those. Watch the other videos, idiot. But there are a bunch of really fun experimental characters on here. So for those of you who aren't familiar with them, we're just going to quickly break them down and give you a little bit of an analysis of why they are awesome. So starting with the townsfolk, and starting right at the top of the tree with the alchemist, you have a not in play minion ability.
Yeah, so I mean, it pretty much does what it says on the tin. And again, this is why there are 5 minions on the script, because it needs to be a not in play minion ability. Putting an alchemist on the script and it working is, in my opinion, a sign that somebody knows what they're doing, because as you can imagine, giving a townsfolk a minion ability can completely break the game if it's a minion, if it's the wrong minion. So, for example, the spy. If you allow a townsfolk to see the grimoire, no one is having a good game. So, an excellent choice of 5 minions to complement the alchemist. All of these minions can be given to an alchemist and used for the good team without breaking the game. But it's an incredibly powerful role and a very scary one.
A good boom dandy. Jesus. So just to clarify, they are a good minion. So obviously they have the minion's power, but are on the good team. So you like,
they're not a minion. They're still a townsfolk. They just they've just borrowed the power of a minion essentially. But they're still a townsfolk. They still register as a townsfolk. They still register as the alchemist.
Absolutely. Moving on to the noble. You start knowing 3 players, one and only one of which is evil.
Yep, it's a pure classic bit of deduction there. On night 1, you're shown 3 people. You know one of them is evil. There are a number of ways you can sort of approach this puzzle. You can go and speak to all 3 of them if you like and see what they have to say. You can just announce to the whole town, I'm the noble. One of these 3 is evil. There's a lot of stuff you can do, and again, it's a sign that this script's written well, because immediately I'm thinking, ooh, if I'm the storyteller, I know what I'm going to do. I'm gonna show the alchemist as one of those 3, and when they come out and say, hey guys, I'm the goblin, but I'm not really, I'm the alchemist, that's immediately going to make the noble suspicious. So, yeah, awesome.
Did it set your storyteller sensibilities tingling?
It did.
In the script? Moving on to the pixie, you start knowing 1 in play townsfolk. If you were mad that you were this character, you gain their ability when they die?
Yeah, so, long story short, on night 1, you wake up the pixie and you say, this is in play. I don't know, the gossip is in play. And for the whole of the game, until the gossip dies, the pixie, if they want to become the gossip when the gossip dies, has to just claim to be the gossip. Tell everyone that they're the gossip. Probably argue that the real gossip's lying. It's a really powerful ability because, A, you get to learn that something is in place. So keep in mind, the pixie can just go, do you know what? I can't be bothered with this. Guys, I'm the pixie. I know that there's a gossip in play. That in and of itself is a useful ability. But if you really want to go the extra mile, you can claim to be that role, and then if you've successfully done that, when that player dies, you become the new version of that, which is even more powerful. But what's really cool about the pixie is that it makes it suspicious to claim to be someone else's role. Because normally, if 2 people claim to be the same role, one of them is lying, one of them is probably evil as well. When there's a pixie on the script, your players will be a lot more forgiving of that sort of thing, which is something that the evil team can use to their advantage.
It's borderline outsider, I would say. Like you say, it encourages the double claim. In fact, it makes certain, like, if you want to use your ability to the full extent, it ensures a double claim, which is hugely helpful for the evil team, because they can double claim as well.
Yeah, I would say so, but also the good team can use that. You know, if you're a particularly dangerous outsider, such as the damsel, you can just think on day 1, just be like, do you know what? I'll just tell everyone I'm the artist and see how that goes. And so they can hide behind the pixie double claim as well. So everyone's a winner when there's a pixie in play.
I mean, obviously, the graphic artist was definitely a winner. Why is it a teddy bear?
No idea. I've got absolutely no idea.
Why is the symbol for the pixie a teddy bear?
I don't know. I don't know. Is teddy bears associated with Fey realms? I'm not an expert.
I don't think so. It's been a while since I've played Stuff Fables, but I'm pretty sure that's not how that goes. Bounty Hunter. Now, this has got a hell of a symbol and a hell of a power. You start knowing 1 evil player. If the player you know dies, you learn another evil player tonight. 1 townsfolk's evil?
Yeah, so if you put a bounty hunter in the script on night 1, while you're setting up the game, you must decide which townsfolk is going to be evil. You immediately tell them they're evil. They're evil for the whole game. You wake up the bounty hunter and tell them that one of the evil players in the game is evil. It doesn't have to be the townsfolk that you've just made evil. It can be a minion or a demon or whatever. And basically they know that. And if they can convince the good guys to get rid of that particular evil player, if that evil player that they know dies, you then wake them up the next night and tell them a different evil player.
Jesus.
It is pretty scary for the evil team. They'll make a beeline for a bounty hunter if they know they're in play, because that's a terrifying ability. What's interesting about the bounty hunter's ability, though, is it says if the player you know dies. So if on night 1 you're poisoned by the poisoner and the storyteller lies to you and tells you that a good player is evil, even though they're good,
you're going good player hunting.
Yeah,
no,
they are the one you know, and if you want more info, you have to kill them.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's terrifying.
It's pretty scary.
You can accidentally ping a bounty hunter and send them hunting their own friends.
Yep. Beautiful.
Oh my god, I love it. So just to clarify, it's not the evil role the bounty hunter learns. Literally, if I was the bounty hunter, you would wake me up and say, Sully is evil.
Yeah, it's the player, not the character. Yeah.
Oh boy. So empath, we all know the empath. Each night you learn how many of your 2 alive neighbors are evil. Balloonist, we saw that in the most recent game with Angela. Each night you learn 1 player of each character type, i.e. townsfolk, outsider, minions, demons. You learn a different player of a different alignment every single night, every single type rather. Snake charmer, Isaac's favorite. Choose an alive player. If they're the demon, you become the demon instead. Don't do that. Gossip, we know you make a public statement. If it was true, that night a player dies. Amnesiac, again, a little Isaac classic. Artist, we know. Philosopher, we know. Huntsman. I think this is my favorite townsfolk on the script, just for my own sensibilities. I love a game within a game. And, well, I won't describe it any further. Ben, take it from here.
So, there is an outsider called the Damsel, which we will get to later. If the Huntsman is in play, the Damsel must also be put in play by the storyteller. And once per game at night, so we wake the Huntsman up every night, but once per game, they may choose a living player. And if that player is the Damsel, then the Damsel becomes a not-in-play townsfolk. So that's huge, because first of all, the Damsel's an outsider, and it's a problem. So converting an outsider to a townsfolk is a massive deal for the good team. But it also confirms to the Huntsman that this person is their Damsel. It confirms to the Damsel that the Huntsman is the Huntsman, and these 2 players combined will likely convince everybody else that they're the Damsel and the Huntsman, which is massive confirmation for the good team. But it's important to note, and again, we will get to this later, that the Damsel is a massive liability. So it's a real, like, big risk, big reward type scenario.
It's a rescue mission within the game, and it has to happen via subterfuge, because if you find out who anyone is, that everyone dies.
Yep.
I love it so much. As a huntsman, you have to basically rescue this one person who desperately doesn't want to be found. And obviously, the most suspicious thing you can do to a player who is a damsel is say, "Hello, I'm the huntsman. Are you the damsel?" So, like, how do you find him? Mental. I love it.
Well, I mean, I suppose, first of all, the damsel is not going to be claiming to be the damsel. So anyone who claims to be the damsel is probably not the damsel. So that's your first step.
Oh, that's easy. Tick, number 1 on the checklist. Thanks, Ben.
But yeah, I mean, the damsel's going to be... The damsel will be paranoid and cagey, and, you know, there's a bunch of attitudes that you can assume a damsel will take because they're so afraid of being found out. And consequently, you can use that knowledge to narrow it down. But ultimately, you have to make a guess based on feeling and based on intuition and instinct. It's highly unlikely you're going to find objective proof that someone is a damsel.
Interesting stuff. The Poppy Grower. Minions and demons do not know each other. If you die, they learn who each other are that night.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's brutal. I honestly think this, in my opinion, this is the most powerful townsfolk in Blood on the Clocktower, because it messes with the fundamental ability for the evil team, who are already in the minority, to band together. But long story short, during the setup phase of the game, you will wake up the evil team and introduce them to one another. If the Poppy Grower is in play, you just don't do that. They don't get to learn of one another, which in and of itself is harsh, because, you know, they want to get together and make a plan. But what's really harsh about this is that the demon won't have the opportunity to give bluffs to their minions. And so, consequently, the minions are left dangling. They're probably just going to take a punt. You might find them, like, double-claiming other good players. And again, just to link this back into how well written this script is, that's where the pixie comes in, because normally, if you've got a poppy grower on a script and no pixie, and you start getting lots of people claiming the same roles, you can think, well, these guys one of them's a minion, right? They've just not been told any bluffs. Whereas with a pixie on the script, it's a little more forgiving, and that's a perfect example of balance right there. So that's been thought about. That's a deliberate choice that this guy's made to put on this script.
It breaks the fundamental of not just Clocktower, but social deduction. Like, genuinely, one of the best descriptions of the entire gaming genre is uninformed majority versus informed minority. And if you take the minority's information away, what have they got? It's insane. Well, they've actually got a bunch of really great minions and demons, so but we'll get to that. It's like you say, it's catastrophic. And again, like, does that make the poppy grower like number one? We have to find and kill this person immediately.
Oh yeah, totally. Like, yeah, if you've not been, because the thing is, not only are they a powerful good player that people will believe if you don't get rid of them quickly, but also by killing them, you then get all your information at night. So minions have got nothing else to do but search for a poppy grower, really. And the demon especially really wants that backup and is going to be trying to kill whoever they think is the poppy grower.
And I guess, like, as the poppy grower as well, your job's done. I mean, like, I guess it's not done, obviously, your survival, but, like, you would never, ever tell anyone that you're the poppy grower, right? Like, what's the point of even telling a good team?
Yeah.
I get...
Highly unlikely, and again, that makes it even riskier for a poppy grower, because you've got to lie, and if you get caught lying, you've got to convince the good guys it's not because you're evil, and you've got to convince the evil guys it's not because you're the poppy grower, and you've got to do all of that without saying I'm the poppy grower.
This is hard, Daddy Ben. This is a hard one.
It's an advanced script for sure.
Oh, right. So, the Outsiders now. Obviously, we know what the goon does. Each night, the first player to choose you with their ability is drunk until dusk. You become their alignment. If an evil player chooses you, they don't get to do their evil thing to you, but you become evil. You become another addition to the evil team. Fantastic. The Mutant, the gateway into madness on the Blood and the Clocktower game, and the Damsel. All minions know you are in play. If a minion publicly guesses you once, your team loses. Talk about a reverse Slayer shot.
So brutal.
The Damsel, man.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It's harsh. It's a really difficult character. I mean, I'll start this off by saying I lost a game on day one as the Damsel because during execution, when I was nominated, I agreed to be executed, and a minion thought, why is he doing that? He's probably the Damsel, and just picked me straight away. That's how hard this character is to play, because you wake up, all of the minions are woken up on night one and told there is a Damsel in play, so immediately they know they've got this ace up their sleeve. They can just come out and say, I'm a minion, and I think this person's the Damsel. That obviously requires them to out themselves as a minion, which is risky for them. But if they get it right, the good team just immediately loses. And so you've got this character, the Damsel. There's no chance they're going to want anyone to know that they're the Damsel. They're not going to want to seem as though they're lying in a way that a Damsel might lie. Plus, they know there's probably a townsfolk running around out there who's trying desperately to find them. You want to cooperate with that guy because you don't want to be a Damsel. Who would? But you also don't want to give too much away because it could just be a minion lying. So there's so many dimensions to this character.
First of all, Daddy Ben was Damsel Ben, which I absolutely love. Second of all, it's not even an execution, right? It's not up for discussion. If a minion just stands up and says, I'm a minion, that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. A dead minion can do it as well because it's a part of the Damsel's ability, so the minion doesn't have to be alive. But what's also pretty interesting is a poppy grower could stand up and say, I'm the minion, and I think you're the Damsel. Because the poppy grower knows that the minions haven't met one another. They don't know who the real minion is. So they can make all of the minions think their ability to choose a Damsel has been wasted. So again, this is what I'm talking about. Amazing script craft right here. So many dimensions to it.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. So a quick question when it comes to the Damsel, though. If you're a good poisoner and you poison a minion and they guess someone is a Damsel, what happens then?
The game ends and the evil team wins because this is part of the Damsel's ability. But if a good poisoner, so if an alchemist, here we go, there's going to be a lot of layers here. If an alchemist has the poisoner's ability, learns who the Damsel is and poisons the Damsel, then the evil team can waste their one pick, actually pick the damsel, and nothing happens because the damsel is poisoned. But again, it's worth keeping in mind, if that happens and the huntsman picks the damsel still becomes a townsfolk, because the conversion from damsels to townsfolk is part of the huntsman's ability, not the damsel's.
I want to play this script now. Finally, the drunk, almost Blood on the Clocktower's mascot, basically. That little unreliability of all the data. Perfect. Lovely to see the old standard riding again. But let's talk about these minions. Godfather, we've seen before. You start knowing which outsiders are in play. If one died today, choose a player tonight and they die, which also upsets the outsider count to kind of counter against the balloonist. The poisoner, we know. The fearmonger. Just reading this seems terrifying. Each night, choose a player. If you nominate and execute them, their team loses. All players know if you choose a new player.
So, yes, each night, including the first, you wake up the fearmonger and ask them if they would like to choose a new player. And when they do, you then announce to everybody during the night, in the middle of the night, you just announce the fearmonger has chosen a new player. So when we wake up, everybody knows that one person in this circle is the fearmonger and another person is their target. And if the fearmonger can themselves, it has to be themselves, if they can nominate the player that they've chosen and get that execution to go through, the game ends and evil immediately wins. And what this creates is a situation where people are really paranoid about executing. And really, oftentimes when a nomination occurs, you'll hear why the person's done the nominating, but the bit that you really want to hear is what the defendant has to say. Whereas having this character on the script flips that on its head. People are going to be like, why have you chosen to nominate this person? What are your reasons? I don't think your reasons are good enough. Can you elaborate? And it almost puts the accuser on trial with the accused.
Oh, it's fascinating, isn't it? Just adding another layer of suspicion to an otherwise fairly innocuous part of the game. We move on to the goblin, which is my favorite symbol in the game. I absolutely love this little smile. If you publicly claim to be the goblin when nominated and are executed that day, your team wins. Bloody hell. All these minions are fantastic.
Yeah, I think this is my favorite character on the script because it's just pure like charisma and deduction, looking people in the eye and seeing whether or not you think they're lying. But the goblin, yeah, indeed, when they're nominated, so if I'm the goblin and I'm nominated, I'll give my defense, and then I might just say, oh, and also I'm the goblin, by the way. And so and if I really am the goblin and I'm sober and healthy and I'm then executed, the evil team just immediately wins. But what's interesting about the goblin is you see good players claim it almost as much as evil players, because if you're something really useful, if you're the bounty hunter, for example, and you don't want to die, you want to keep getting information, and you're willing to kind of annoy everyone, you can just say, oh, and also I claim goblin, so don't kill me, and it can buy you a little bit of extra time. Obviously, you're then going to have to claw back your reputation in order to use that information, but it can certainly be done. And also, the demon can do it as well. The demon can say, I'm the goblin, and yeah, I'm happy to tell you I'm evil, but I'm the goblin, so if you kill me, we lose, and just kind of coast through that way. So there's a lot of stuff you can do with this character.
The idea as well of having confirmed evil players out there that you can't kill. Like, that's so fascinating as well when you consider the damsel is in this script. So if, that gives the goblin a free pass to go after them. I love, like you say, you can draw all these little connections between characters, which I think is a real sign of the strength of the script. We now will come to what some people's favorite experimental character through sheer power of chaos. Please tell me about the Boom Dandy, Ben.
So the Boom Dandy's ability reads: if you are executed, all but 3 players die. 1 minute later, the player with the most players pointing at them dies. So, lot to unpack there. Basically, if the Boom Dandy's executed, the storyteller just goes around the circle going, and Carly's dead, and Adam's dead, and Sully's dead, etc., until just 3 players live. The choices are completely arbitrary. The storyteller only has to make sure that there are good players there, and that at least one of those players is the demon. And then just start counting down from a minute, and the town will just start frantically discussing with one another. What's great about this is that everybody wants to talk for 2 minutes. Nobody gets to talk for 10 seconds. And then at the end, everyone just needs to be pointing at another player, at one of these 3 living players, and whichever one it is, they die and the game ends immediately. So the cool thing about this is, if you think about Blood on the Clocktower, not in terms of conserving lives like a lot of games, but actually this really is a game about the moment the game begins, the moment the game ends, how much information can the good team gather in that amount of time. What the Boom Dandy does is just cuts that information off immediately. It's day 2, I've been executed, you've got all the info you're going to get now, you've got 1 minute to make a decision based on it. It's just huge, it's really powerful, and a hell of a lot of fun as well.
It's monstrous, Ben. And it's the idea that, you can have like a 15-player game and be like, right, let's all settle in for the long haul. First day, you snipe the Boom Dandy. It's like, right, here's the end. We are rushing straight to the grand finale, quicker than Game of Thrones Season 8. And let's move on. Speaking of monsters, let's move on to our demons. Lil Monster. Each night, minions choose who babysits Lil Monster's token and is the demon. A player dies each night. +1 minion. Lot of caveats in there. Lots of kind of extra little things happening. So definitely talk us through this one, Ben.
Yeah, so basically, instead of, in a, let's say, a 10-player game where you would have 1 demon and 2 minions, instead what you have is 3 minions, and each night the minions wake together and decide who will babysit Lil Monster. And for the whole of that night and the whole of the next day, whoever the babysitter is also the demon. And all of the rules that pertain to the demon apply to them. So if they die, then the game ends and the good team wins. And any ability that interacts with demons and minions, learning whether or not someone's a demon or a minion or whatever, that will also interact with the fact that this person is the demon for that day. A player dies each night. That's the storyteller chooses that. So in a Little Monster game, the demon doesn't get to kill. And what's interesting is it specifies a player dies each night, not the Little Monster must kill 1 player each night. So if, for example, the gossips incorrectly and someone dies, as the storyteller, we don't have to kill anyone else if we don't want to, because that has satisfied the requirement of a player dies each night. We can kill another player if we wish, but we don't have to. And that makes things quite interesting for characters who rely on death in the night to learn information.
Couple of edge cases, obviously, because this is such a monumental character, like you kill a minion and the game ends. I do want to kind of throw a couple of edge cases at you and see what happens there. Obviously, if the goblin is looking after the Little Monster token and is executed, what happens then?
So in a case where a goblin is claimed goblin and dies, thus winning the game, but also they were the demon, thus losing the game, on a tie, good always wins. And then you can apply that to any situation you like.
Gotcha. If a good poisoner, is it possible for the Lil Monster to be poisoned?
Yes, it is, absolutely. And in fact, I probably should have mentioned that while the minions get together and decide who babysits Lil Monster, and I think you're going to like this, they do not have to pick an evil player. If they want, they can force a good guy to babysit Lil Monster. Now, it's worth noting that the good guy will be woken up and told they're the demon, but it can be interesting on the final day where there's like this good guy and 2 evil players, and they get together and decide to make him babysit Lil Monster and have to advocate for his own death on the last day of the game. So, yeah, it's entirely possible, not only that a good guy might stymie Lil Monster by causing a poisoning or something, but it's also possible that it might just be Lil Monster.
So if you're babysitting the token, you are Little Monster for that day? You don't get your power, or how does that
No, you still
work?
get your power. You're both. So think about it this way: Little Monster is not a player. No one is playing Little Monster. It's a thing that is just given to people night after night. And whatever you are, you're also Little Monster on top of that.
So obviously we can see, eagle-eyed fans can see on the script, there is a little poppy grower symbol next to Little Monster. What does that entail?
It's a very good question, Adam. let me
Thank
look
you,
that
Ben.
up. I don't want to get this wrong.
Generally speaking, on custom scripts, if you see a little figure of another character next to the character, it means that there is sort of like an edge case special rule for when those specific characters interact.
We call them jinxes, and they exist for characters who either don't play nice together or require a bit more explanation of how to run them. So I wanted to make sure I worded this correctly because it's actually a pretty big deal. In a Poppy Grower game, minions don't wake up together. They're woken up one by one until one of them agrees to babysit Little Monster. Because obviously in a Poppy Grower game, the minions can't know each other. So yeah, basically you just arbitrarily select one, wake them up. Do you want to be Little Monster? No? Okay. Wake the next one up. Would you like to babysit Little Monster? Until someone says yes. If you go through all of them and they all say no, you just start going round again until one of them decides to say yes.
Bloody hell. Fine. I'll cancel my dinner plans, I guess. Lovely. So, final two demons. I'm just going to switch the order because we've all seen a Vortox. Each night choose a player, they die. Townsfolk ability yield false info. The info must be false. Each day, if no one is executed, evil wins. I do just want to end on Legion though, because this is one of the more famous, again, beloved experimental characters, and talking about it, it feels quite climactic. So let's end on this one. What the bloody hell does Legion do, Ben?
All right, this demon's fascinating. So each night a player might die. So again, like Lil Monster, the storyteller chooses whether or not someone dies at night. Executions fail if only evil voted. So more on that later. But the bit that's important, you register as a minion too. Most players are Legion. So what you do in a Legion game is instead of having one demon, a handful of townsfolk, a handful of minions, and loads of good players, you flip that on its head. So in a 12-player game, there should be 3 evil players and 9 good players. What you actually get is 9 legions and 3 good guys, or thereabouts. You can mix it up a little bit. You could go 8 good guys and 4 legion, but there must be more legion than goodies. So now we go back to if only evil voted, executions fail. So in this situation, almost everyone is evil, and they have to just get rid of all the good, convince the good guys to execute each other, and they must convince them to execute each other because only evil cannot do it alone. They need at least one good guy to vote, otherwise the vote fails, which is catastrophic because all of the people who voted are guaranteed Legion. The good team know that there's a Legion in play, and it's more or less game over for evil. So the evil team have to spend their time insidiously convincing the goodies to hate one another. It's also worth noting that the setup, the number of outsiders that should be in play, etc., etc., is completely irrelevant in a Legion game. As a storyteller, you can put whatever good guys you want in. I'd highly recommend you put powerful and useful good guys in, because they're going to have a hard time. And yeah, that's Legion, really, I guess.
Oh, that's Legion. I suppose there's an army, an evil army, which is like an army of glass as well, because like you say, one bad vote scuppers the majority of the evil team. Or just like it confirms evil a bunch of players, which is just madness. Now, there's no character on the script to otherwise make an execution fail, or am I wrong about that?
That's correct. Yeah, there's no one who can survive execution like a tea lady or a sailor or anything like that. Or indeed, there's no evil players such as the Devil's Advocate that can cause that to happen. So, but to be honest with you, if like let's say there is a vote and 8 players vote and they're all Legion, I will not say, oh, this person's executed but don't die. I'll literally at the end of that vote say 0 votes. I'll just immediately say there were 0 votes, and immediately everyone will know.
Oh gosh, this looks like a fun script, Ben. So that is No Rolls Barred. We're recording this shortly before filming our episode. That'll be going up mid to late December as a little Christmas treat. Like I say, if you would like to check out the runners-up, please click the image link at the top of the description. That'll take you to a folder where you can see all the scripts that were amazing but didn't quite make as many votes as this. Do you have any kind of closing remarks to make about the script, Daddy Ben?
I suppose. Oh God, there's a lot of pressure in that, Adam. Yes. What should my closing remarks be? My closing remarks would be: this is a very, very advanced script. If you and your buddies get together and decide to play it, give your storyteller a big old pat on the back afterwards, because this is hard to run, and anybody who runs it successfully, you should buy them a coffee.
Is that your way of me asking me to buy you a coffee, Ben?
Buy me coffee, Adam.
I will buy you a coffee, Ben. Next time I see you, a coffee is yours. So congratulations are in order for the winner, the designer of this, the winning script, Andrew Pisho. A signed copy of Blood on the Clocktower will be winging its way to you when they are printed and arrive in the country. I cannot wait. Ben, I can't wait. Like, I was looking through it and every single thing, like the minions though. The minions. Like, normally minions are some of the juiciest parts of the game, but these are, with maybe the exception of the Godfather, because it's a little more passive than the rest, but all of these are home runs.
It's definitely going to be the most paranoid game we've run.
Hooray! I can't wait. So yes, keep an eye out. Make sure you're subscribed to No Rolls Barred. Make sure you turn those notifications on so you know exactly when the No Rolls Barred play the script No Rolls Barred airdrops on the channel. We'll see you very soon. Thank you so much to Father Benjamin. The Herculean task of whittling down 600 scripts into just one. You're a braver man than I.
Oh, thank you.
And everyone, get on board. Sure, why not? Get on. There's no easy way to dismount a video like this, Daddy Ben. Get on board. Now you have to say it. Say it loud and proud.
Get on board.
Oh, that's a little something for all you ASMR kinks out there. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.